Greetings, students. This is Mrs. Lancaster. This is Chapter 5. After you've done your midterm, this one shouldn't be too tough for you. You know how to create a table and shorten the text field size to 10. You also know how to set a primary key. And in design views, quantity on hand and product ID fields need to be set to required. So that's in the inventory table. And you can see that quantity on hand is required. So you do that down here in the properties box. And the same is true of product line ID. So you set that to required. The next thing you're asked to do is to set a validation rule. You also do that down here in the properties. It needs to be greater than or equal to 0, and then the text that's going to appear is going to be the value of this field must be 0 or greater. So that's how you set your validation rule. We're going to be doing some fairly complex queries in here, so we're going to open the find low quantities query in design view and add the criteria for the quantity on hand field. So the find low quantities query in design view is going to be one table, the inventory table, but we've got a criteria down here that you'll need to add. We want it to ask us the question, so we put down that our bracket field inner threshold, that's going to be the parameter that comes up and is asking you to enter a piece of data there for quantity on hand. But it needs to be less than or equal to threshold and greater than or equal to 1 for it to work. So when we run this, we have the parameter query asking us to enter the threshold, and we're asked to enter 2. And we get the threshold for 2 quantity on hand. Now we're going to look at the rounded prices query, and we're going to create a new column that rounds everything to the nearest dollar. And then we're going to enter an if statement that's going to set things to rounded or not. So first of all, we need to round our retail value. We're going to do that with a round function. So we go into the builder and we find our function. The built-in function is a math function, and there it is, round. And I don't want to change this, so I'm going to back this out. Retail is the value we're rounding, and we want it to 0 decimal places. So there's our rounded retail. And you can see in the query that is indeed a rounded field. The next thing we need to do is to set the items either to the class, which is going to be the name of our new field, to luxury, and I spelled luxury wrong, or everyday. So go back to the builder. I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong field. Go back to the builder, and we're naming it class, then colon. We look up the if function. If you just start typing, the if function will pop up for you. The value that we want to check is rounded retail inside brackets. If it's greater than 100, it's going to be luxury. And if it's, and that's the true part, and else the false part is going to be class every day. So as you can see, we've got our rounded rate is $200, which is greater than 100, so it's luxury. And all the way through, you can see that that if statement worked for you. Now we're to look at the overdue reviews query in Design View. So we're looking to see if an employee's performance review is overdue. If it's null, it means that it's overdue. That means null means there's no value there at all. So we'll look at overdues review query. And again, we're going to use the builder. Oops, sorry. So the name of the field is review status. If statement. If is null, the date of last review, then we want it to be overdue. Else, the false part, we want it to be blank. And we're looking for all those that are equal to overdue, so that's in our criteria line. And you can see that date of last review is null and the overdue status is showing up. Then we're going to look at the order totals by month query in Design View. And instead of using the date, we want to use the month to group it by. So we're going to use the date part function. You can either type this in or go to the builder, find the date part function, or just start typing it in. And we want the month, so put M in quotation marks. And the date we're looking at is order date, surrounded by brackets. Then we want the line cost. We need a totals row because we're going to be grouping it by month. And then we're going to set up an expression, which is the order line cost, which is going to be the sum of quantity times price. And those are field names that come from the order item table. So there we have our costs grouped by month number. So that's pretty much it for chapter 5, where you've got complex queries and you're using the builder to get functions. You can use the builder for example, for line cost, you can use the builder, and if you type in sum, then start open brackets, the quantity and price are going to come up for you. So sum starts, open the bracket, no spaces in here. And that's our expression. Okay, y'all have a good day, and we'll see you for chapter 6.